Hello. Thanks for coming to my site. My name is Maria Christodoulou, and I have MS. I first found out that I had MS when I was working during the summer. I was working at Lowe's, and I was outside in the heat, and I don't know if you know, but that's really bad for MS. And I didn't know at the time, and I got really sick from it. And this half of my body, my right half, was really numb. I didn't tell anybody because I thought, oh, it's just a pinched nerve, I just bent over funny. So I went and lived with it for about 2 months. And then my right eye started getting blurry. And I got kind of scared, and I told my mother, my family, and she took me to the emergency room. And I was so against going. I said, no, I don't want to go. This is costing too much money. This is stupid. It'll just go away. And so I was in the emergency room right after they gave me an emergency MRI because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And the doctor came back, and I thought, oh, nothing's wrong. He's going to say, well, we don't know what's wrong with you. But he came back and he said, it looks like you have MS. And my first thought was, no, I don't. No, I don't. I don't have MS. I don't have MS. You're just crazy. There was something wrong. I must have twitched or moved during the MRI. I don't have MS. This is ridiculous. And tears just started pouring down my face. And thank goodness my mom was there, because I would have went crazy. And so the neurologist came and he said, well, I looked at your MRI, and you can either have one of two things. He said there's something called vasculitis that you might have because your symptoms are not typical of MS. And I said, okay. And he said, your MRI doesn't look typical of MS either. And I said, okay. And he goes, vasculitis is just when the nerves in your brain just get irritated and swell and stuff, and he goes, so you can have MS. And I said, what is MS? Like, I heard of it. I knew it was a brain something. And I asked him, what is MS? And he goes, well, the things that protect the outside of your nerves or the brain cells, myelin gets destroyed and then creates scar tissue, and then that prohibits the signals to get through. So I was like, okay. I said, well, what's the next step? He goes, well, we're going to put you on steroids. The immediate action for both vasculitis and MS is steroids. And I go, oh, okay, so steroids it is. And he said, well, to really know what you have, I'm going to wait for your spinal fluid to come back. And they had taken spinal fluid. I gave like a gallon of blood and some spinal fluid and went through the MRI. And so it goes the end of this week. And so I stayed in the hospital for a week. That was no fun. And during the week I had my 22nd birthday. It was on the 15th of August, and I had went into the emergency room on the 14th of August. So it was kind of crappy, but, I lived through it. After that, after my spinal fluid came back, he goes, well, it's really pointing towards MS. And during this whole time I was in the bed, hospital bed, I don't have MS, I don't have MS, I don't have anything. Something's wrong. I still kept denying it. And when he said, you have MS, it kind of went through my head, I have MS. I have MS. And so I immediately wanted to know everything there was about MS. I didn't want to leave anything out. And so I asked the nurses, can I have information? Can I have anything? And I was on this intravenous steroid that time. So twice a day they came in and like pumped 500 milligrams or whatever into me. And I wanted some information about that too. So I went through and I learned as much as I can. And so he said, well, do you want to take the steroids at home? We can send you home now. I'm like, yes, I want to go home. So I took the steroids at home, and he goes, come back in a week and we'll see from there. And I said, okay. And I went to the doctor's office, and he goes, well, here's Copaxone. You have to take it every day. It's a shot. But there's no totally harmful side effects, and you probably won't even notice anything. So I said, okay. And it took about 2 weeks for it to get to me, and during those 2 weeks, my MS progressed a lot. Before I went into the hospital, I just had the numbness on my right side, but my eye cleared up with the steroids, so that was good. And while I was on the steroids, everything felt better. I could walk better, and now that I haven't been on steroids for a long time, and basically had nothing for 2-3 weeks, my balance has gotten so much worse. I can barely bend over without my legs get weak, and they kind of fall out from under me, and my dexterity is horrible, and all these things just suck. And then so I started taking Copaxone, and I was like, oh, this is great. I heard so much good things about it. This is going to be awesome. And so I've been on it for like 2-3 weeks now, and nothing's happening. And so thankfully my insurance company said, oh, we have something called peers. And then they call you. They've been on it for longer than 6 months. They can call you, and share their experience. And I was like, oh, that's great. Please sign me up. And so Allison, I guess that's a pretty generic name. I won't give anything away. But Allison had called me and said, oh, I've been on Copaxone. It takes a year to work correctly. So right now I'm going to school for illustration, and I have to use my hands. And I just have to figure out a way to get around it without, I can't steady my hands. I can't make the pen go where I want it to go. And so I'm just going to have to figure out a way around that. Maybe I'll, switch my style to wiggly lines or something. But that's up to date. Caught you up on my story. Again, I want to thank you for coming to my site. If I could help anybody with this site, if I can get anybody to where they're not freaking out like I was, that would be totally worth it. So that was my story. If you want to contact me, if you ever want to talk, I'm up all hours of the night. And if I'm on my computer, don't hesitate to email me or message me or anything, and talk to me if you're freaking out like I am, or if you know somebody that has MS, if your mom or sister, like my little sister, was kind of freaking out too. Don't hesitate to IM me anytime. I'll try to keep up to date with what happens, and that's it. Thanks.